This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.
Good evening and welcome to the Brighton PTSA Meet the Board of Education Candidate Night. I am Monica Alonji, the President of the Brighton PTSA, and I would like to welcome all our candidates here tonight. Monitoring this evening is Amy Thomas, Executive Director of the Monroe County School Board Education. And Amy, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thanks, Monica. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Central School District Meet the Candidates Night. As Monica said, my name's Amy Thomas. I am the Executive Director of Monroe County School Boards Association, and I am honored to be here this evening with all of you. I want to thank the Brighton PTSA for their work to set this up and the Brighton Technology team for their supporting efforts in streaming tonight's program to the community. This year, we have 3 candidates running for 2 seats. Our candidates in ballot order are Clayton Jones, Karen Hatch, and Vinod Bajaj.
Thank you.
Providing community residents the opportunity to meet and listen to the viewpoints of the candidates that are asking to serve as elected board trustees is key to participating in our democratic process as an informed voter. Before we ask the candidates to give their opening statements, I'd just like to take a moment to speak about the work of elected board trustees. As said in the title, Board of Education members hold the public trust. While they're locally elected officials, those in our suburban districts are nonpartisan and unpaid. These elected volunteers will need to devote hundreds of hours during their term to learn about their roles and responsibilities and to remain current on educational trends and legislation impacting public education. They must also make sure that they're available to their community by serving on district committees, attending and participating in district functions and events throughout the year. My thanks to each one of the candidates this evening for your commitment to pursue this important position of service to students, the community, and to public education. So candidates, you'll be provided 3 minutes for an open introductory statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement. Both of those will be done in the order that you're placed on the ballot. As a reminder, the community submitted questions to the PTSA, and as the moderator, I had the discretion to combine similar questions, reword questions, or rule out inappropriate or repetitious questions. The community questions will be rotated in order so that every candidate will have the opportunity to answer a minimum of 2 questions first. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each question, and I'm happy to repeat any question for you. Please watch the timekeeper, which is Monica to my left. Mm-hmm. She will hold up a yellow card, which will indicate 30 seconds are left, and a red card to know when the time is up. It's time to get to know our candidates at this point, so we're going to begin with Clayton's opening statement. Clayton?
Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate the information. Thank you all for being here. For those watching at home, thank you for your attention. Folks in this room right now and folks at home watching, thank you. It's a reflection of the strength of this community and your engagement. So thank you in advance for your attention and your engagement. As Amy said, my name is Clayton Jones. I've been a resident for Brighton for about 15 years now. I'm running for school board in short because since I've lived in this district, in this town, I've been increasingly inspired to serve. I've been more and more motivated to give back. And that's largely because the experiences that my children have had in this district. Over the past few years, I've witnessed the care, the attention, the overall just general commitment that the educators in this district have shown to my children, academically, but even beyond that, social, emotionally, and it's really moved me, and it's inspired me to serve. So we've really had a great experience in this district. I recognize that not all families and children have had the same experience that my families have, and I'm interested in understanding deeply why that is and ways that we can strengthen that. But that's really the crux of it for me. This is about service. This is about a commitment to giving back. And to the community that has been so good to me and my family. I'm a Rochester native, born and bred here. I grew up in the 19th Ward in the city of Rochester. In second grade, my parents put me in the urban suburban program. So from second grade to 12th grade, I went to the Pittsford Central School District. And I'm a proud graduate of Pittsford Sutherland. Growing up there, I was very familiar with Brighton, competed against them in sports and different venues, but always had friends from there and a high respect for the Brighton Central School District. After I graduated, I went to college in Florida for 6 years, got a couple of degrees, and then wanted to come back to the community that I know that I love. My wife and I wanted to move to a first-rung suburb that was close to the city. We appreciate all the cultural and accessible amenities that Rochester has to offer, but we also wanted a good school district. And so Brighton was clearly the best option for us. We enjoyed ourselves, and then when we had kids, I've really just witnessed, like I said, the care and the attention and how they're thriving there. They're not just having a good time, they're really thriving there. And it's inspired me to give back and to volunteer. So, you can catch me on Sundays at the flea market. You can catch me on Saturdays at Meridian Park, coaching minor league softball. Volunteered for the color run a few weeks ago at Frez here. I don't think that...
Clayton, we're going to have to stop at
That's
that
fine.
point.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I was
Thank you,
telling-
Monica, for the singing.
It's okay.
For the ringing.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. It happens.
But Clayton, we have to stop. We have to go on to Karen.
For sure.
For her
Thank you.
opening statement. Okay, Karen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. My name is Karen Hatch. I am running for re-election for the Brighton Board of Education. I've served 3 full terms plus 1 year as an interim member. I am the product of public schools. I grew up in West Arundecoit. And I bet many of you share this feeling. I went away to college and told my parents I would not be back to Rochester to live. But I landed here in 2006 with a husband and 2 small children in tow. And we chose Brighton for many of the same reasons that Clayton expressed. Our oldest, started kindergarten in 2007, graduated in 2020. Our middle graduated in 2022, and the punchline to every joke I tell is that our caboose will graduate in 2035. And I have used this very literally as the punchline of a joke, but we will be Brighton parents for 28 straight years by the time she's done. And since she started kindergarten in 2022, that's actually given me more cause for reflection as a board member and as somebody who is a cheerleader for our public schools, because I have this opportunity to see where we've been and also to know where we're going. Peggy gets used as being introduced as the baby all over town, but she's really inspired me to continue to serve because I like where we're going, and I'd like to help continue steering the ship forward because we have a lot of places still to get to for our kids. I come from parent leadership. I was a PTSA executive board member. I've served in many capacities on many different committees. I serve in different ways for the Monroe County School Board Association. I'm not any fun at parties because I like to talk a lot about legislation and foundation aid and school funding. And I am happy to continue to do the work if the community allows. So thank you tonight for being here with us.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod?
Thank you very much all for coming here, and I thank you, my wife special, is a big support to me. First of all, there was a question here, so why would you like to, come up with that, Many people, they ask me, why? I say, I'm running for but why? But I say, well, I have time in my hands now. Our kids went to school here. One graduated in year 2000, the other one son graduated in 2004. And now it is time for me to give back to the community. And this is the Brighton School. And we appreciate it, the education they got it from the, good teachers. And Brighton is a good, town board for the school system. And there were a few questions, in the past few days. Are you Democrat? Are you Republican? I was not sure what this has to be done with the, the job I'm looking for that. He said, well, yeah, I am Democrat. I said, okay. But then what are you going to do for us, Are you going to reduce the taxes? No, I may not be able to reduce the taxes, but I'm going to, assist or work with the separate councillor or board members to work on those things. So, okay, that's what, how this conversation goes. I am right now working as a board member for the Hindu Temple of Rochester. My wife just finished for 2 terms, and now I am back on it for 3 years terms, then again followed by hopefully 3 years term. I, like volunteering. I've been working for Strong Hospital as a volunteer for almost a year now. So I'm lined up for the Brighton police or Brighton ambulance like that. So that's about it. And then yesterday I was looking at the meetings going on. There was like a ban or restriction on the cell phone for the school. I appreciate it. That's what it is. I have many years of substitute teaching in the city school and school of Henrietta Town. I know how that goes. The students, they have the cell phone right here. I mean, it's nothing new to me now anymore. But the time they are spending on their cell phone, it should be like focusing on that there. So I was looking at the different policies that the Brighton school has them. So like to, time to time, we need to revise them. That's what I can give my input in there. So 2017, one of the policy, that they all need to be updated. Thank you very much for all coming.
Thanks, Vidom. Okay, it's time for our question and answer portion of the evening. A reminder that answers should not exceed 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds remaining, and I'm sorry if it's awkward, but if you could look over here and we'll just have the card shown here, the yellow card first at 30 seconds and then the red card. When the time's up, the red card will be in front of you, okay? All right, so for the first question, we'll begin with Clayton. Clayton, please explain what motivated you to run for the Brighton Central School District Board of Education and the perspective that you bring to the board table.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Amy. So again, this is about service and giving back to me. Again, since I've lived here, I've just been pleasantly surprised how communicative, transparent, and just engaged the district is in really helping parents understand what's happening within the walls of these buildings. And that in turn has helped me understand how much folks care here. Sometimes we don't really appreciate what's happening until we know how much folks care. And I see that in spades here at the district. So for me, my background, I've worked in higher education and government relations and community relations for almost 20 years. That's given me the ability to listen carefully, work across different socioeconomic classes, industries, and communities to really build coalitions, create a sort of mutual interest to solve some of our community's most pressing issues. Certainly education is one of those, whether it's K-12, helping our students with curriculum, or going to college, or workforce development, or going right into the workforce. So I believe that my skills and my background can contribute meaningfully to the board. My background, being a student from urban suburban, having a different background academically and educationally, I think lends itself to a different perspective that can be additive to the board. I won't say that it's better or worse, but additive. And so that has inspired me to run, and that's why I'm asking for folks' support and their vote so that we can have various perspectives on the board to help us make better decisions for our children.
Thanks, Clayton.
Yep, thank you.
Karen, same question.
So I've done the work for a number of years, right? I've served for a full decade. Schools have always been my home. I trained as a special educator and worked in various educational settings until I had my oldest child. But school continued to be my home after she was born, and especially when she started school. I mentioned that I had come to board service through parent leadership, and what I found amazing about Brighton as a new parent was that I had many opportunities, if I had the time, to serve on different committees in the district. It was different than, say, running the book fair or helping with the community service drive, but sitting on interview committees, sitting on a curriculum review committee, and that stimulated my need to be of service in a different kind of way, and I have always sought out those opportunities. And over this past decade, I have spent a great deal of time learning to understand the legislative landscape and the schools as an institution, bigger than the classroom itself, how they operate as systems. And I think that the learning that I've done in that arena still lends itself as a helpful force on the board. So again, like I said before, I love the work. I am able to be of service, and so I think that I should offer myself to be of service. And if the community agrees, then I'm happy to continue on. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod?
What motivated me, yes. I was sitting there and I got the newsletter from the Brighton Brighton schools that we need you can help us out, and that time I just had 1 month of my retirement. I said, now this is the perfect timing, that got it. So I've been working like 8 years for the pharmaceutical company. That was a good job, I enjoyed it. And now here, when the time comes for that, I say, yeah, this is the right time for me. And that's the one that motivated me to work for the Brighton school, help them out where they need. I can work with the fellow, board members, make some decision, where the decisions are needed, look at that. Then I also looked at the, where the report cards are. Different schools, different around us, Brighton, Henrietta, all those things. Their report cards are, like I have different levels of those things. And then last week I met somebody. Said, what are you going to do? What you are going to accomplish? I said, I'm going to raise the report cards. They're already good. I said, yeah, there is always a good, there is always a better. So I will try to help out, to the students, and of course the teacher and the school to get the report card, better to the next level, So that was my answer for that. And somebody asked me the passionate, why you do that? My passionate is like a healthy living. That's about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinod. Okay, the next question will begin with Karen. Karen, how will you, in your role as a board member, ensure adequate supports are in place to meet the academic and social and emotional needs of all students?
Sure. So one of the prescribed roles of a board member in New York State is to have fiscal responsibility for the school district. And a lot of people say, well, it's not about the money, but it's actually a whole lot about the money and the way that we can ensure that we have all the programs in place for kids that our teachers say we need, that our kids say we need, that our families say we need, is to have the adequate funds to support the teachers who deliver those programs. So a lot of the work that I've done is around foundation aid, around the tax cap, around crafting the budget, around understanding the mandates that dictate how we craft the budget. So it is always about listening to the community. What do kids need? What do you think your kids need? What do teachers need? But in the end, the way I can do that as a board member is ensuring that we have the appropriate funds to make that happen. And that's work that we do throughout the year. Budget season isn't just in the spring. We're talking about it all the time, and we're learning about it all the time. What different legislative pieces will affect how we can deliver a program to kids. So that's my niche on the board right now, because I'm the legislative liaison. Helping board members understand how those pieces affect our ability to deliver programs is key.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod, same question.
Same question. Could you please repeat?
Sure. How will you, in your role as a board member, ensure adequate supports are in place to meet the academic and social and emotional needs of all students?
Yes. Being new to this, position, of course, I'll get a lot of help from Karen, from the many years of experience I have in the, like an audience, member, what's it called, Jody. She worked so many years in the board, and she's always there to answer my question about this whole thing, and I appreciate it, And then, whatever needs to be done, again, I will be told, these are the policies that we have to revise, Now since there is the new administration, the policy, they are changing, have changed. So there will be a lot more to be done. That's my, guessing is. So whatever needs to be done, my services will be there, Doesn't matter like how many hours is it, that's no issues at all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. Clayton, same question.
Thank you. So for me, first thing I would want to do is talk to the leadership at the schools and at the buildings to take the temperature on, what's going on. What are, SWOT analysis, what are the strengths? What are the counselors and the teachers who are actually on the front line working with the students, what are they saying? Is it a matter of finances? Is it a matter of personnel? Is it a matter of they're stretched too thin and they don't have the time to do the deep dive on the academic supports, even though there's enough funding in place? I don't know the answers to that. They do. And so in order to advocate for more resources, I would want to talk to them first to understand sort of the contours of the current situation in the building right now. I think that would be my guidepost, first and foremost. From that, obviously supporting with the board, voting on budgets. Is there an opportunity to be more prudent with those supports in the context of everything? Possibly. But I think we have to think deeply and strategically about that because I don't know that there's anything more important than the academic support of our students. But I would need some more guidance from the experts in the building to think deeply about that.
Thanks, Clayton.
Sure.
Hey, Vinod, the next question is going to start with you. How does the role of a board trustee differ from the role of a superintendent?
That I will have to look in the, what you call the, not the qualities, but the requirements, the restrictions. They have the board and the, thinking. So we'll have to go by that, what are the, written qualifications are, or whatever the, conditions are there that I have to support, or I have to go along with them. So that's how we'll support those.
Okay, thank you, Vinod. Clayton, same question.
Excuse me. So, the board is about hiring, support, evaluation, policy approval. It's not about the day-to-day operation and sort of governance of the buildings and the operations. Certainly the board receives feedback about that, but they're entrusted with, the fiduciary responsibility and hearing feedback from the community to deal with complex issues. Not that the superintendent doesn't deal with complex issues or also hear those types of things, but they're much more closer to the ground and to the day-to-day. And so the board is, 50,000 feet where the superintendent is 20,000 feet, if you will, with respect to the day-to-day operations. So I see that's a significant difference between the board and a superintendent. Of course, there's a bi-directional support system, listening and engaging one another, but the board is afar from the superintendent, who's much more day-to-day, and I don't think superintendents can hire themselves, so that's a responsibility of the board. Thank you.
Thanks, Clayton.
Yeah.
Karen, same question.
That's the disadvantage of going last, because Clayton really nailed that.
No,
That
you're
is the legal, that is the legal distinction between the board and the superintendent. We aren't in charge of day-to-day operations, the superintendent is, and you explained that very nicely. I appreciate
Thank you.
it. It's our job to support the superintendent as that person does the work every day with principals, with teachers, with kids, and I really can't add anything else to that. So well done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, the next question will begin with Clayton.
Okay.
How can the Board of Education help ensure that all students are prepared for an increasingly complex world upon graduation?
By appreciating all the things that our students and our graduates do after they leave the district. Our students go on to do so many great things, whether it's serving in the armed forces, whether it's going right into the local workforce, whether it's, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, going to service abroad. All of those are right and just. So in order for us to support those students, we need to have an appreciation for the vast options that they have beyond that. I think historically, folks are interested in folks going to college. Certainly most of our students do, whether it's 2-4-year public, private, in-state, out-of-state. But we have to make sure that we are talking to our students, and not just in high school, even earlier than that, to understand their trajectory of how they can be successful and contributing citizens. That means a lot of different things. Academic goals are just one part of it, whether they're professional, workforce development. We want them to be contributing citizens, whatever it is that they do, whether they take a leap year or a gap year and travel abroad, whatever suits them. I think our counselors, our building leadership needs to be appreciative of all the different options that our students have today, so that we can support them in doing those different types of things. Thank you.
Thanks, Clayton.
Can you just repeat it for me quickly?
Sure. How can the Board of Education help ensure that all students are prepared for an increasingly complex world upon graduation?
Thank you. So this is work that's being done by our Curriculum Council. It's work that's being done in the summer as folks prepare curriculum. I was able to work with the Curriculum Council a couple of years ago as we developed our Portrait of a Graduate. And this is something that folks are doing across education as we talk about moving away from a more traditional skill and drill kind of education to really moving our students to be critical thinkers. And we talk a lot about what kind of people do we want our kids to have when they leave school. And when they start school with us, like Peggy's in this process right now, she is learning those skills that become the base for her to be that critical thinker. And we know New York State is moving in this direction too. The Board of Regents enacted a Blue Ribbon Commission on graduate requirements in 2019. They unveiled the work in 2023. New York State is also moving towards developing that Portrait of a Graduate that will help steer the state as they redevelop the New York State learning standards to reflect more of that idea that we're developing whole people, not just people with these finite skills. And I think I see that work being done every day. A piece of that in terms of the board is being able to support professional development, because that's really where the magic happens, right? The teachers, our teachers work so hard to keep on board, to keep up to date, and to keep moving forward with this idea that we are transitioning away from what we think of as more traditional schooling, but being able to support the professional development, being able to keep up with the recommendations from the Board of Regents and see what's coming as graduation requirements are going to change is important in the role.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Karen. Vinod, same question.
Yeah, please repeat.
Okay. How can the Board of Education help ensure that all students are prepared for an increasingly complex world upon graduation?
Thank you. All the students nowadays, like at the changing world, especially, just Board of Education would like to make sure that all the students coming out from the school, they are very, very well educated. So anytime I meet, I see, what foreign language are you taking it? Also Spanish. That my advice is always to them is, make sure you please keep going up to the next level. So if you're taking Spanish, German, or anything. So if you become a doctor sometime, and then your career, you have a Spanish speaking patient there, then you do not have to rely on anybody. You can just, being a doctor, you can just speak your language in a Spanish language. Or foreign languages. If a student has an interest for the going abroad or something there. So making sure, that he's very well trained on that foreign languages thing. Or if somebody has an interest for the music, the musical classes are available. Yeah, we want to make sure the student is very well trained in education or in music or political, science and other things. So in any field, whatever the interests are, all the students, they need to go in the next world, working or whatever, volunteer. So they make sure that, you know, they have the enough education given to them by the, you know, teachers and all of things. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinod. The next question will begin with Karen. Karen, how would you prioritize and advocate for stronger STEM programming across all grade levels in the Brighton schools?
This is such an interesting question, and one I really did not anticipate.
I'm sorry.
Right? This is my third candidate tonight. I am genuinely surprised here. I think we do a really good job of this, frankly, right? I have two Brighton High School graduates. Both are students of science. One is a data scientist. One's an aerospace engineer. New York State requires that we offer a specific amount of STEM programming, and I know that given that we have many children whose families are involved with the university and the hospital, that this is a strong wish and want for folks. I think that we allow students to explore those, especially at our upper levels. You know, Peggy's teacher right now is doing an incredible job incorporating STEM. Oftentimes in our elementary classrooms, we are focused on literacy and not as much on those content areas.
Yeah.
But what I see at Council Rock, especially right now, since I'm in it there right now, is that teachers really are allowing students to do deep dives. We learned last night about a project. Students decided they wanted to learn about eagles. They had been watching the Eagle Cam. And their teacher developed a lesson plan for these students to really take that deep dive into this STEM-related concept. And I think that we do give people freedom in their classrooms, especially at that K-5 level, to take kids on those journeys while still engaging in the literacy and the basic math skills that we're teaching them at those levels. And I'm certainly open, whoever crafted that question in our community, to speak with folks about what their experience has been like. But I do also know that in those blue ribbon requirements, the new graduation requirements, that STEM or STEAM is heavily noted. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod, same question.
Yeah. Could you repeat that again, please?
Yes. How would you prioritize and advocate for stronger STEM programming across all grade levels in the Brighton Central School District?
All grade level, you know, like we can start with the primary, middle, and the high school, or go, you know, they call that, you know, the start from primary, and then they go, you know, next level. So every level, you know, when they are going class by class or year by year, so they are very well, you know, getting education, you know, in their field, according to their interest. And then when the time comes for the high school, so when they go out, like our two kids, you know, like children, one is working as a financial, and the one is in the pharmaceutical company. They both got the good education. So when the time comes for the graduation, you know, and then they are ready for the, you know, whatever their interests are, you know, they're ready for the job they are looking for, they are expecting it, you know, that makes the big difference for all the, you know, school things.
Thanks, Vinod. Clayton, same question.
So for me, this is a question about the future of the United States and its competitiveness. I don't know that there's a career or a future industry that will serve this country that doesn't involve STEM. Probably, but I can't think of it right now. Especially when we think about the workforce challenges and the headwinds that we have in this country right now. And the demand and the need for more research and development and higher education for students in these fields. We don't have the boots on the ground or the bandwidth or the people to do what we want to do, what we need to do in this country in terms of STEM. So I personally think we need a full court press right now, and not just waiting until 10th and 11th grade, but doing a deeper dive in our schools, and not just looking for students who have a predisposition to STEM. We need to be talking to our students of color. We need to be talking to our young women. We need to be talking about people who show skills but don't know what STEM is and how it can change their life. I was fortunate when I went to grad school, I got a scholarship, a fellowship through the American Psychological Association Minority Fellowship in Neuroscience. That paid my way through graduate school because at the time the country was looking for more minority students in science, and so I'm a direct beneficiary, I'm a witness of what supporting students of color in science can do. And so in terms of advocating for that, on the local level, working with our town, our councils, our school boards, our school districts, on a state level, working with our elected officials, and certainly on a federal level, because this is a conversation that's bigger than Brighton. Of course, we want our students to thrive and take advantage of the resources that we have here, but this is about the future of the country and competitiveness and making sure.
Thank you, Clayton.
Thank you, sorry. A little passionate about that.
You can bring it back in your closing statement.
I appreciate you, thank you.
Okay. The next question, we'll begin with Vinod. How do you envision the path forward toward making a change to the middle and high school day start times?
I know that's the middle school and the high school. I mean, there's a responsibility. We just make sure, the middle school, we need to let the kids know and say, hello, we are going to the next level now. So we tell them all the good things, all the benefits they will be when they are transferring from the middle to the high school. So what the parents' expectations are, what the school teachers' expectations are. So now they are going to be more and more responsible. They will have more responsibility. They'll be doing many things on their own, whatever the thing is that. So that's, we have to let the children realize, say, okay, yeah. And then they will. Most of the time they do realize that, and they feel that, yeah, we are growing. We are going to the next building, from here to there. But it's not only the building, but again, different subjects, different interests, things. We just want to make sure that when they are transferring from middle to the high school, so they get all the, like a guidance by the teachers, what we can give it to them to go to the next level.
Thanks, Vinod. Clayton, same question.
So I think there needs to be a lot more communication around this. I think there's anecdotal things that people feel, and I know that we have experts in the district who have thought deeply about this, and they have those times there for a specific reason, even if they aren't all known to us, whether it's transportation or things of that nature. So I need to have more information about that. That said, as someone who has, 2 kids, a 9 and 11-year-old, or as they would say, 11 3/4 and almost 10, I do notice the stark differences between a FRES bus pickup and a TCMS bus pickup. And I'm not actually up all the time when my 11-year-old gets on the bus. And I have a pretty demanding early start job. So I have some concern there about that. It doesn't seem to impact my kids in a negative way, but I certainly hear sort of all 4 corners of the room for folks that I've been talking about since I've been running about this. That said, again, as a student who was in urban suburban and lived in the city and took a bus to Pittsford, my bus time was 6:05 in the morning. I'm not saying that that's okay or right, but that's what I'm accustomed to. So if we can find a compromise to help people with that and their job schedule, I think that would be good. But I'm not sure I understand all the contours of the issue to make an informed and educated statement right now on what we could do to resolve that. Thank you.
Thanks, Clayton.
Yeah.
Karen.
Nobody's going to like my answer to this. Just going to put that out there. I have a hope and a dream and a wish that by the time Peggy graduates, we have a flat 8:30 start time across the district, right? That's a giant aspiration I have. And I will tell you, like I told you before when it came to supporting programs, this is about the money, right? This isn't about the will. This is about a need we have for more funding because the issue is transportation, right? The issue is transportation and having more buses on the road. Because right now, in order to make that happen, we would have to cut programs to be able to fund the bus runs. So I'm here with you. I've raised 2 teenagers. Anecdotally, it was easier to get my kids up when they were older than, God help me, than it is to get Peggy out of bed right now. Like Peggy at 7:30 is like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed, Mom. So the idea of flipping our buses and then putting her on the bus before that time would be a nightmare in my house personally.
Right.
But again, like, yes, I have this aspiration. I had great hopes for this in 2019 when I ran and we were talking about going over the tax cap, because that would have given us a base that could grow, that could eventually support this goal, right? We weren't able to do that at that time, and that those impacts have been felt down the road. So yes, right, there's a magic number here that we don't, and we don't have it. And I understand that that's an incredibly unsatisfactory answer to the folks who've been working for a long time on this issue, but when we can do it, I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, the next question will begin with Clayton. Do you support the proposed school budget as it stands, or do you have specific strategies for reducing the tax burden while maintaining or improving educational outcomes?
I do support the current budget as it stands right now. I certainly think that there are aspects of it that we can continue to tweak and change. As someone who lives here, and when I got my assessment bill in the mail and I looked at the address, I was like, went out and looked at my house number and was like, is this the same house? I'm not sure they're talking about the same property, but apparently they were. No, I honestly, I do support it. But it's something that we have to think deeply about going forward. I think this year was a little bit unique in terms of, sort of the feedback and sort of the call out from the community to change things. But I also understand how important it is for, that levy and that tax and that cap with respect to part of what makes Brighton special, and that's supporting the school district. And so we have to make sure that we're being responsible in terms of what our kids need with respect to the school. But I also think when we're just talking about budget writ large, concerns about fund balance and some of the reserves that we're using. I don't think that's sustainable, but I understand why those decisions are made, especially in the context of the tax cap. We're going to have to continue to look at that. I think each year is its own animal, so to speak, so it's hard to draw conclusions from this year and the previous year when next year is shaping up to already be different.
Thanks, Clayton.
Yeah.
Okay, Karen.
Okay, I could talk for hours about it. So I do support our budget. I helped write it, right? And the work of the board is to balance the needs of kids and families and staff with the community's capacity to pay for it. We don't have predictability when it comes to foundationing from the state. The governor can write that form, changes into that formula at will. That has to be something that we change here in New York State, and that's something that I've been working on with Monroe County School Board Association for many years. I think the tax cap is certainly still in play. A lot of folks say to me that that's a done deal. It'll never change. But a tax cap that is designed on purpose to come in lower than the CPI doesn't make sense. It's magical thinking to believe that schools can raise the funds that they need with an inverse relationship to inflation. We're experiencing the same conditions that folks are in their homes. So this is work I get very excited about, although that's not a normal thing for people to feel. But I do support the budget. I support the work we've done to balance the needs of the community with the needs of folks within the four walls. And I think there's a lot of work to be done at the state level to help our legislators understand truly what the need is, and that when we say that we need more money for a program, we're really talking about money for people, right? Because people enact those programs. So long story short, I support the budget. The state can do a better job.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod, same question.
Same question. Thank you, Karen, for all that good things you just said that. Yes, yeah, we in different companies, different industries, we all go through the yearly budget and think that okay, the sales are up, sales are down, so let's increase or decrease the budget. And then because in the past few years we had COVID and all those things, couple of years back, our houses on our street, they were selling like a hot cakes, And then that could be the reason for the changing the sale. I mean, for the tax, the property taxes and all those things. So last time when we got the mail, and I generally opened the mail, and I show Neelam, look at this one. This one is so much increase. Oh, can't believe it, I mean, but then again, somebody must have thought about it. But then, what was their thinking? Was that thinking right? Does that make any sense to that, to our properties, or to what we are doing it? What we are doing to help it out or change it? So then I called the board, and the town board, town thing. They say, yeah, we are working on it, so you'll be getting a new revised statement. Okay, so that gives me, like a relax, okay, take it easy, But yeah, budgets are there, but they're thinking about it. So Karen, as I said, we'll have to, not live with it, but then if we had to make some changes, yeah, that's what we should expect it.
Thanks, Vinod.
Thank you.
Okay, our final question.
Oh,
Everyone sits up straight.
Final Jeopardy,
And
yeah.
final question. No prizes for this one. We're going to begin with Karen.
Good.
Do you believe the district is currently headed in a positive direction, or is meaningful change needed? What gaps do you see, and how will you work to fill them?
So two things can be true at the same time.
That's right.
We are headed in a positive direction. We are still working towards and need meaningful change. This is true in every aspect of our lives, really. I think we do good work. I think my kids bear witness to that. I think I bear witness to that. Being able to observe our professionals work in different committees. They are thoughtful. They aren't willing to rest on the status quo or rest on their laurels as a district with a great reputation. And we know where the gaps are, right? We're using data from the state that we garner on our own to think about all of our different subgroups. We know that there's work to be done. We have some really great experts in our district. I'm not going to name them. At one time I was at Candidates Night and I specifically named somebody on the staff and like, why did you do that? So I'm not going to name them, but I work with so many thoughtful experts in their field who are never satisfied with where we are. And I think schools should always be like that, right? We watch kids grow and change every day. I don't know why we should expect that we shouldn't grow and change every day. So I do really think both things are true at the same time. We're going in a great direction and we can always do better.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod, same question.
Same question, yes. We are going into the right directions. I mean, even though our kids, they are graduating and they have their own kids, move out of town, so they got a good education from here. So I'll just say that, yeah, we are moving to the right direction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
I sure will.
Thank you, Amy.
Do you believe the district is currently headed in a positive direction?
Yeah.
Or is meaningful change needed? What gaps do you see, and how would you
Yeah,
work to
yeah.
fill them?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the district is heading in a great direction, and I think there are meaningful gaps that we need to continue to look at, right? I think if you ask anybody in Monroe County or probably the GLO surrounding counties about the town of Brighton and what's attractive to it, outside of the parks and all the diversity and the accoutrements, one of the first things they're going to say is the education system, the school system. So of course we're heading in the right direction. We covet it here for good reason, because folks have fought long and hard for the gains and for the resources and for the graduation rate that we have. That's because of the work of the teachers and the staff and the leadership. So yes, the district is heading in the right direction. At the same time, I'm not convinced that the things that we've done over the last 15 or 20 years are sufficient to get us to where we want to go for the next 15 to 20 to 25 years. So I think we need to, double down on our values, our missions, strengthen our ties and our coalitions, play to our strengths. But we also need to take a look at our blind spots. What are the things that we're hearing from our community that maybe we haven't paid attention to? How do we integrate those things and minimize them? So maybe more of our students can realize their academic goals, or more families can have the type of experience that we want them to have when they walk away from this district. So I think both things are true. This is a beacon of a district, but at the same time, we can't rest on our laurels, and we have to think deeply about going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as I promised, we've come to the end of our question and answer portion of the program. So each candidate will now have 2 minutes to give a closing statement. Those summations will be made in ballot order once again, so we will begin with Clayton.
Okay, very well. A thriving school system strengthens our entire community. And I believe that together, as a community, we can strengthen our school system to not only continue to meet today's challenges, but also position the district to meet the demands of the future. It's critical that board members ensure that the district remains both responsive and forward-looking in support of our teachers, our staff, and the district leadership. They work tirelessly to help all of our children reach their academic goals and providing them with the resources that they need to thrive. In my career, I think I've learned how to relate to people from diverse backgrounds, appreciate their unique perspectives, and foster trust. I think these are skills that would serve our board and our district well. But more than anything, it's a privilege to work side by side with the community, with the communities that we serve. And I really hope to bring that same type of collaborative spirit and approach to the commitment of our schools. So I just want to thank you all for your engagement. Again, your presence here tonight and those watching at home is a reflection of the strength of Brighton. We care about our kids and what happens to them. And regardless what happens on the 20th, it's really been an honor to be in this space with you. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I hope to earn your support.
Thanks, Clayton. Karen.
As I've said before, school is my life's work. And I'd like to think that's really all I have to say to folks. I'd love to continue to serve your kids and your families. And if I don't have that opportunity in this setting, I'm happy to continue doing it in whatever way that I can. So I'd like to thank my fellow candidates. I'd like to thank Bill and our AV staff and Dan Goldman for setting this evening up, to the PTSA and Monica for hosting us, to Amy for being our fearless moderator, to everybody who came tonight and who's watching. Please come out to vote on May 20th. That's the most important thing that you can do for the school district, is make your voice heard. Thanks and have a good night.
Thanks, Karen. Vinod.
Yes, I am a hard worker in the past many years. That's what I have proved myself. And once on board, I'll be still working harder and again to support my fellow board members and then the school board or education board. So it's my I'll give my best to the board, whatever I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinod. So that concludes the program for this evening. I personally would like to thank each one of our candidates for your thoughtful responses this evening and just putting yourself into the community in this capacity and considering board service. So thank you for that. A reminder to everyone out there that the budget vote and school board election is Tuesday, May 20th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Central Administration Building Gymnasium, door 4. That's 2035 Monroe Avenue. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.